Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon. It's right at noon, so whatever your preference is, depending where in the country you are. The Minnesota Vikings survive in England, beat the Jets and the despicable Aaron Rodgers 23-17. Um, Man, once again, it was a tale of two halves. It was that Vikings jump out to an early lead like they did in Green Bay last week. It was 17-0. Jets, just like Green Bay did last week, scored right at the end of the half. Vikings held on by their fingernails. Stephon Gilmore closed it out with an interception with under a minute to go. Uh, Chris, initial knee-jerk reaction to the game.
I mean, just like last week, this team gets out to a big lead, and then all of a sudden everything goes to crap, and they gotta hold on for dear life. And it. I don't know. I mean, thank God for Brian Flores. Thank God for this defense. But man, they can't continue doing this. I mean, they gotta. Some of the offensive play calling was a little not great, but yeah, I don't know what else. It's a win. It's a win.
A win. It's hard to win in the NFL. I don't like having to go to England, Drew. I don't like playing these overseas games. The whole. I mean, it did feel like a home game. I mean, it was technically a home game for the Vikings. They sacrificed a game at US Bank Stadium to play overseas. The weather conditions were not great. But they still, buddy, they still won a game. So as ugly as it was, as bad, Sam Darnold played as poorly as he possibly could. We'll talk about why he continually kept going for the kill shot after kill shot after kill shot. But 5-0, nobody. I don't even think either of any three of us in our preseason predictions predicted the Vikings being 5-0 going into the bye.
No, Chris had 3-2. I had 4-1, and you had 3-2.
So there you go.
You had two. Both you guys had us dropping this game in London.
Did we?
But that's before we knew any of the Jets' problem. But we'll start out with a.
Do it. Hit the whistle, man. The Vikings have not lost since you got the boxcar Willie whistle. Okay.
Haven't lost since I got this $3,700 gold chain either. Let's talk about it, guys. There's a lot to go over. That I don't know about these second halves. Like Chris said, it's 2 in a row. You play like this against the Lions in the second half, you're going to get run out of the building. So, yes. And I think it's the same problem we had last week. I don't think it's the defense. Chris, you're the stat guy. I know of a couple stats in the second half. We were 4 for 5 on third down conversions. In the second half, we're 0 for 7 or 1 for 8 or something. And then
they were 4 for 13 in the game. I don't have it broken down by half or anything, but yeah, they were 4 for 13 for the game.
157 yards in the first half, and then 43 in the fourth quarter. I mean, it was like I hang that on the offense. We talk a lot about it. Lance Bruns mentioned it on Vikings Uncensored about saying the same thing I said, is when you're up by 2 scores or more, you got to work the clock when you get the ball, even if you don't score. And same thing we had against Green Bay. They kept 3 and out, giving him possession after possession to Rodgers. And to be honest, I'm shocked that Rodgers didn't get it done there at the end. But you don't want to be talking about these as losses like we did last week, Ted. At least we, find a way to win. That's what you got to do, what the good teams do. So they held on and they got it done, but there's definitely some stuff to work on. But hey, we're one of the only 2 undefeated teams in the league, guys.
That's right. Real quick before we go any further, we've got about 150 people in our room watching right now. Thank you so much for joining us. Anthony Tollison just gave us $4.99. Thanks, Anthony. I appreciate the contribution. Any money you give us goes directly back into the prize vault to get prizes out for the show. And speaking of prizes, we're gonna spin a wheel at the end of the show. All you do to be eligible to win is just make a comment on our live chat right now. So Nick Howard, you're now eligible. Ethan Rogers is eligible. Todd Taylor, anybody who comments is Ruby's writing down names, and she's going to spin an electronic wheel at the end, makes you eligible for a prize.
Wait. We can't go into this victory show without wishing a happy birthday to Mr. David Stefano, the runner, the guy that runs all those shows at First and Skull. David Stefano, I imagine he's tipping a few back today.
I would be.
Happy birthday, my friend.
Happy birthday, Dave. Dave and I go way back. I've known Dave for 20 years now. We're stationed together here at our last. Both of us are our last active duty station together. Used to come over and watch Vikings games with me and my dad way back in the day. Happy birthday, Dave. I hope you're having a good one. Yeah. So, tell Ted to read the comment. Brian Flores just told KOC in the locker room, "I can't bail you out all the time." And is it me or did we get the old Darnold today? I don't know if it's the old Darnold. People were saying that on Twitter. Look, everybody has a bad game every now and then. Darnold has had a very good season up till now. People on Twitter were kind of bailing on him pretty fast. I just look. I said going in, the Jets have a good defense. Drew, you were not sold on their secondary. Are you sold on them now?
I'm sold on him getting penalties in the secondary. No, I'm not sold on him because we were forcing the ball to Justin Jefferson. I stand behind my pick.
Okay.
I understand why you guys gave the Jets the helmet on the preview show on Friday, but they were clearly instructed to mug our wide receivers until they get call after call after call. There was 4 or 5 calls they could have got called on, but they gave up at the end because they wanted, I still give the Vikings secondary the nod. I have some problems with it, but you can't bail on Darnold already. No. He had an off game. He was missing a lot of open guys.
Yeah.
When they took over the ball at the 37 after we sacked Rodgers inside the 5, he missed Addison on that square out for a first down by like 8 yards, and he doesn't usually do that.
Aaron Rodgers was off today too, Chris. I don't think either quarterback played particularly well. I think Rodgers ended up with 3 interceptions.
He sure did. He had the pick 6, and then he had Bynum got the second one, and then you have the Gilmore pick there at the end. I mean, Rodgers threw 54 passes and had 244 yards. That's not great. But
Todd Taylor with a $5 comment. Apparently, the player we need to resign next year is Aaron Jones. And you know what? The Vikings offense looked completely different when Aaron Jones went out, and I that's not only worthy of thank you for the donation, but I would get ready to bring that up. That's also worthy of a prize vault comment. Todd, congratulations. Get a hold of Ruby at Vikings Report with DrewandTed@gmail.com. And go ahead, Drew.
We sent out your money clip last week because Todd won a prize last week.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah. So he's getting that. Be on the lookout by Tuesday or so. You're going to get that in the mail. I packed it up myself. So
okay. Look,
good man.
I'm normally not a fan of early bye weeks for teams. I don't think the bye week should happen until probably week 7 or week 8. But I'm willing to make an exception in this case because when Aaron Jones went off the field and they said at first he was going to miss the rest of the first half, and then they said he was out for the rest of the game. The Vikings offense looked completely different compared in the second half compared to where they were in the first half, Chris.
Yeah, they sure did. I mean, I don't know if this offense runs through Aaron Jones. I mean, another part of it, Sam Darnold had that play, and I'm not sure what happened to him, if he got the wind knocked out of him or what, but he had that play where he took a hit, and Nick Mullins had to come in for one play, and after that play, Darnold looked awful for most of the game. I don't know if he's got a rib thing going on or what the heck happened, but yeah, after that play, he looked like a completely different dude.
Another great comment here by T. Cooler. Darnold could have also used Hawkinson today. I thought this would have been a great game for T.J. Hawkinson. There was just nothing. I don't know why the Vikings kept going for the kill shot.
Yeah,
downfield. Drew. It really didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. The last week they had all season actually they've had a whole lot of success with underneath crossing routes, they didn't really do much of that today. I don't know if it was just the scheme the Jets played, but that last drive, Johnny Munt made a big catch. T.J. Hawkinson would have seemed to have been a guy they could have used a lot today.
I don't know whether I don't trust the NFL with anything. They probably sent a memo over saying, being we're in London, we got to show off Justin Jefferson for the league so we can sell more tickets. You need to force the ball to him, because that's what it looked like in the first half. I don't know what you guys think. They were forcing things to him in triple coverage, things doesn't have a chance to catch. They were forcing the ball to him, and that play in the second half, I think it was the fourth quarter when Munt caught that little seam play for 15, 20 yards. That was there all day.
It seemed like it, yeah.
I see replays with tight ends. Oliver running down the field. They weren't covering the tight end because they were told that he's going to force it to Jefferson, and he was forced.
That play where Darnold threw the interception and he forced it to Addison, and it wound up getting picked off for the touchdown that made it that got the Jets up to 17. He had Johnny Munt wide open, staring him right in the face
all day. He had him wide open,
and he overthrew it. And yeah, I don't. He's got to have something going on after that hit, because that's the only explanation that makes any sense to me. That and Aaron Jones not being there to take the heat off a little bit.
I don't know if that was an intentional game plan. If KOC said keep throwing to JJ, or if it was just Darnold getting tunnel vision. I don't know, but you guys are both right. Even my grandson Grayson, who spent the night and got up early and watched a game with me, we both commented on it, like, why are they doing that? I mean, guys underneath are wide open. It just didn't make a whole lot of sense to either of us. So I don't know.
I didn't get it. I don't get that fourth down play when it's 10-0. You take the field goal. It's the second quarter. Not only do I not like going for it there in 4th and 2, but I don't like throwing it 40 yards down the field, 10 yards past Addison for no chance for a catch. That was complete. The only thing dumber than that was the Jets getting that ball on downs, driving down and going for it themselves.
I like the call.
Field goal right there, and I'm thinking that he just out-stupided O'Connell's last go for it play, because they should have took 3 there. They weren't even sniffing the end zone at that point, but they went for it and they didn't get it. So
I like going for it. I like the aggressiveness and going for it. I didn't like the call. I thought I mean, when the Vikings have gone for it in the past this year, they've done the end around sweep for like 4 or 5 yards at that part of the field. I thought maybe that's what they're going to do. Maybe a play to Addison, or I mean, because they were getting chunks on the perimeter with Aaron Jones, and Jones was still in the game at that point too. I mean, going off tackle for 3 or 4 yards seemed like a no brainer, or maybe a play action to and then tight end kind of out in the flat or something. It just seemed like an easy 4 or 5 yards, but I don't know.
I hear that. I like the going for it aggressiveness, and then I hear you say, but I don't like the call. What if I told you before the play it's going to be a complete shit call? You want to go for it?
Well, obviously not, but I mean, I like
a play you run. I didn't get it either, Ted.
No.
It just seemed like a give-up play on fourth down's your money down more than third. You got to have something. There's got to be something, a quick hitter, like you said, open. It's just like, I was thinking to myself, this is going to be one thing I talk about in the show if we blow this game, is blowing that 3 points right there. But I don't know.
Yeah, and on that sequence of plays, they ran Ty Chandler twice on 1st and 2nd down to get it to a 3rd and 2. If you know already that you're going to go for it on 4th down, one of those 2 plays has got to be a run play.
Right.
You got to get 2 yards. I mean, you don't, because the first one, the play after that, the 3rd down play, they tried going to Jefferson. I can't remember exactly what happened. And then, they tried to go 40 yards down the field to Addison and overshoot him. I mean, if you already know you're going to go for it on 4th and 2, if you don't get it, you should probably be running it on 3rd and 2.
Yeah, I would argue this is probably as good as the Kevin O'Connell has called games this year. This was hands down his worst play calling game of the season. And the Vikings still won. As bad as everything went offensively, the Vikings still won by 6.
Yeah, you just hate to see that tendency 2 games in a row.
Yeah, the collapse. Yeah, I do. You're right.
You count up the yards. You count up the 3 and outs in those last 2 games in the second half. Probably damn near 15 or 18 of them. And a disgusting act. Who's a great commenter, great Viking fan. I see him on other shows all the time. I disagree. I think the O-line struggled today big time. I don't like the way they played at all.
Go ahead, Chris.
It goes back to what we were kind of talking about last week with the play calling and whatnot. When you get out to a big lead, and I know Drew's already said this today, but you got to have a balance between, trying to move the ball down the field and trying to get points. I mean, you can't, I don't know how many, someone I think posted on social media at some point during the game that Sam Darnold's average target depth, and I know we don't usually get into these kind of numbers or whatnot, but his average depth on all of his passing targets was like 14 yards downfield. I mean, you have personnel like Jefferson and Addison where you can win the short routes, get the short passes, and maybe throw them into something. You don't have to go for a damn kill shot on every play. You just gain some yards, move the ball. You know, you got a kicker that can hit it from damn near anywhere now. So, you know, just try to get yourself some points.
Thank God for the kicker and Van Ginkel. They've made all the points today. What do you got? Give me your thoughts on the offensive line real fast, Ted. I want to hear, because I'm not talking about I'm talking about the false start, illegal motion, false start again, holding, blocking the back by Ingram was completely dopey.
There were two runs. There were two really good runs by Ty Chandler that were neutralized by a penalty. There was one, he took a pitch wide right, got down to the 15-yard line that was neutralized by a penalty. There was a second one in the second half. I can't remember exactly. I think it was the fourth quarter, and the Vikings would have had either a second or 3rd and 1 that had them down to, I want to say, the 35. That was neutralized by a illegal block in the back. Right. And that killed. I mean, I think the Vikings still managed to get a first down on that drive, but still, when you have the ball, when you would have had the ball in the 15 and it takes you back to midfield, that just kills you. I mean, that sets you up for a potential go in and score a touchdown. To now, what are we doing? I don't know if the Vikings scored a touchdown on that drive or not. I admit that might have been the drive where Ham scored a touchdown, but I don't know, man. I thought it was the worst game of the year for the offensive line overall. Darnold got sacked 4 times. Now, was some of it Sam's fault? A couple of them were, I think, but for the most part, yeah, I didn't think they played a particularly good game overall.
No, I don't think they did either, to be honest. I mean, there were, you know, the dumb penalties. You know, the one on Ingram after, you know, Chandler had a nice run. I mean, Chandler was already clear of him by 5 yards. He didn't need to do that. Yeah. Turned it what would have been a first down into like a 1st and 18. And yeah, the offensive line has been a strength for this team for most of the season, but they didn't have their best game today.
And other than the one play by Trent Sherfield Jr. on that punt that pinned pinned the Jets on the 2-yard line, and the kicking of Will Reichard, I thought the special teams play. Jay Johnson brought this up, was less stellar today. Maybe Daniels needs to spend so much time teaching takeaways this week. I thought the special teams play was atrocious. I'm pretty much done with Caleb Evans. I'm pretty much done with Jay Ward. I hope their key cards don't work when they get back to Egan come Monday.
Did Jay Ward walk in on Kevin O'Connell with a couple cheerleaders?
I don't know. I don't know. That's a good question.
Why is that guy on the team? I've been saying that since the opening game at Tampa Bay last year when he jumped off sides and gave him a new possession. Then he did it again later in the year against the Raiders. The only time you hear about Jay Ward, Chris, is when he's doing a stupid thing. Cut that guy. Get him out of here. We don't need players like that.
That guy and Evans, Ted's already mentioned, the special teams was a disaster today, and damn near every disaster involved a Caleb Evans in some way. They had that one punt return that looked like it bounced off of him. That should have been let's be honest, that should have been Jets' ball.
I'm not going to blame Evans on that one because he was trying to block the Jets guy, and the Jets defender pushed him into Powell, and
then the one later on where Powell fielded it and it looked like he was going to return it and looked like he had room to run. There's a Caleb Evans like in his way. Like, dude, show a little bit of awareness. Get the hell out of the get away from the damn ball. What the hell?
Why is punt returning so stressful now? Powell ran in and got that one. He's going full speed. He had to dive to catch it. I'm sitting there, I'm watching it going, oh my God, Ted. It's like punt return.
Powell catching the punt doesn't bother me. It's Powell catching the or receiving the punt doesn't bother me. It's what the rest of the other 10 guys do on the punt return team. I'm just kind of doing one of this because I'm almost positive there's going to be a flag because somebody does something stupid on the punt return unit.
Maybe you remedy it by getting some different guys to cover the gunners. Because every time Powell catches it, there's not one guy, there's 2. and it happened against the Green Bay game. He has no room to even make any yards because the guys are getting downfield too quick. You gotta do bump and run or something on those guys to stymie them a little bit. Maybe look at, I don't know who's covering the gunners, Chris, but maybe try to upgrade that because Powell has no room hardly to do anything.
No, he doesn't. Although I will say that that one special teams penalty that wound up getting called roughing the punter, that was a weak ass call.
Yeah,
that at worst that was running into the kicker. The Jets would have had to punt it again, but no, they get the 15-yard penalty, and I believe that was when they went down the field and got points. So that was a terrible call. But I mean, the Vikings had 11 penalties today. That's easily their highest total for the season. It's got to be. I mean, I don't have the other numbers in front of me, but they got penalized a lot today.
Yeah.
I would agree it was running into the kicker. I would concede that penalty, but it was not roughing the kicker. And Gene Steratore, the replay official guy in the booth, I'm sorry. That was not roughing the kicker. Roughing the kicker is when the kicker is pretty much defenseless and you pretty much maul him, and that did not happen. And it was pretty good. It was a pretty good acting job by Morstead, but that was not roughing the kicker.
I'm going to look at the other side of it. Might not have been roughing. In that situation. Stay the hell away from the punter. Don't go near the punter. Be 5 feet away from the punter. Don't give him a chance to call it. That's what I said when I was watching it. That was stupid. Stay away from him. Stay away. Don't. I mean, that gave him new life. They ran an 8-minute drive after that. Seven or 8-minute drive went down. I mean, I love pace, but you got to keep your head in the game. You can't give him free possession. That was
true.
Might have been a bad call, but no reason to put yourself in the position of having that called at all. Stay the hell away from him. Come on.
That's true. I'll give you that. That's fair. That's a very fair point. Shouldn't have even been trying to attempt to block that punt.
Really dumb.
I'm just seeing a stat online here. Go back to talk about the defense and for whatnot. The Garrett Wilson got targeted 22 times today. Do the Jets just not have anybody else that can catch the damn football? I thought they were issues on offense. That dude got 20. Justin Jefferson doesn't get 22 targets in a game. That's ridiculous.
What did we say in our previous show about the Jets offense?
No, they don't.
The fifth straight week, Vikings Report was dead on with their prediction on the preview.
Yeah.
I thought so. And I may be patting myself and you guys on the back, but I'll do that when it's accurate. You're right, Chris.
Yeah.
22 times. We said on the pregame, on the preview, all they got is him. And then the cricket noise came up, remember? And that's exactly, they got Lazard dropping 4 or 5 passes, but
Lazard had that touchdown. Catch at the end of the first half, but he also had 3 or 4 drops.
3 drops
off the top of my head.
Yep.
The only other guy on the Jets offense that did anything of significance in terms of catching the ball was former Viking Tyler Conklin. I mean, he had two catches of at least 15 yards that I can remember, maybe one more, but that's really about it.
Yeah, he had 6 for 55 on the day, so that's solid.
You know, we punt to the Jets. There's a commercial that comes back, and I say, first play, 3-step drop to Conklin for about 6 or 7 yards. Sure enough, because that was their game plan, getting 2nd and 3. Maybe we could try to get some rushing yards. I was going to talk to you guys. If Gilmore didn't pick that pass off, I was going to say, how many 5-yard out patterns are you going to let Garrett Wilson catch, and you're 13 yards off him? And then he almost got burned on that play and Aaron Rodgers missed the pass when he got hung out to dry. It would have been a touchdown there at the end. Then he had the interception, but they kept throwing the same plays at us, Chris, and we just kept doing nothing to stop it. Maybe Flores says, let him have that. We'll get him on 3rd down. I don't know.
Right.
Well, I think the Vikings strategy defensively, anyways, at least the first half, I don't think they've been nearly as aggressive these last 2 weeks. And look, I think Flores' strategy, especially in the second half, was make the Jets drive the field because we just talked about them not having a whole lot of offensive talent. And believe it or not, I think it was take away Breece Hall, which they did. I don't think he had 50 yards rushing. And make, believe it or not, make Aaron Rodgers beat you. And he couldn't. He had 3 interceptions. And look, look, let Garrett Wilson get his, because you've got nothing else besides Garrett Wilson receiving the ball other than those few catches that that Tyler Conklin had, and the one touchdown catch by Alan Lazard. And the Jets couldn't do it. They could not drive the length of the field. They just couldn't. I mean, it was, especially in the fourth quarter when the Jets needed to score quickly, and Darnold had that one bad pick in plus territory where the Jets were able to go down and score. I mean, it worked. I mean, the strategy worked.
Yeah, the Jets as a team had 36 yards rushing today on 14 carries. They weren't even averaging 3 yards a pop. So the run defense came to play. They've come to play every week so far. But yeah, like Drew said, you run the same damn 5-yard out, and if Rodgers hits it, it's 5 or 6 yards, and they just keep running it over and over and over again.
Nell 77 says AR in a wheelchair would worry me if he had a clean pocket. Well, he didn't really have a clean pocket today. He was kind of under duress a fair amount of the afternoon, and it showed. I mean, 3 picks. Yeah, Vikings harassed him. Yeah,
I thought the O-line of the Jets kind of held up pretty well considering all the Vikings' different looks and coming at Rodgers. The Jets are one of those teams. By the end of the game, I was saying to myself, they're so unfortunate. They're a team that can't make any mistakes and win. They can't drop passes. Aaron Rodgers can't sail a couple passes. He sailed over wide guys' heads. He missed that pass at the end. And if you're not a good team, those little things are going to cost you. The Vikings had a lot of little problems today. Chris mentioned the penalties, turnovers, a lot of dumb plays, and they still managed to win. The Jets aren't set up like the Vikings. They can't do that. They can't make mistakes and stuff. And it seemed like Lazard dropped that one in the end zone, and then, I mean, I don't know what was going on with all those flags at the end of the first half on Jefferson, but the Jets did about as well as they could to try to win this game, and they had the ball down at the 20-yard line with less than a minute to go. I didn't think they'd be in that position before we did our preview in this game. Did you? Did you think it was going to come down to that? I mean, that's pretty scary.
No.
I didn't think it would come down to them having to stop Aaron Rodgers for them to potentially lose the game or the Jets to win the game.
I want to ask you about one play.
Oh, what one play? Go ahead.
They're down. They're 3rd and goal at the 15, or 3rd and 10 at the 15-yard line of the Vikings. It was on the touchdown pass to Lazard.
Okay.
All of a sudden, the Vikings decide to rush 3 on that play. And as soon as Rodgers got through the, sidestepped in the pocket, and it became open vision time. When Aaron Rodgers does that, you got about a 1% chance of having a good play. He's going to burn you every time. So I kind of thought that was weird that we'd only rush 3 on that specific play, because you're right, Ted. Hurrying them all day costs a lot of throws into the ground and throws at guys' feet. I mean, they chose that 3rd and 10 at the 15 to decide to only rush 3 and let him, clear his way in the pocket, and it seemed like an easy touchdown after that. I was kind of shocked that they didn't pressure him in that scenario. I wanted to ask. I wrote that play down. I wanted to ask both of you about that.
But did you guys notice that was still a bad throw? I mean, it was high. Lazard had to go up and catch it, and had it been, I mean, and he still caught it. He jumped, and he still caught it on his shoulder pads, which could have very easily bounced off, gone up in the air, and who knows what would have happened then. I mean, Rodgers. Everybody was talking on Twitter. I was kind of following the game on Twitter, and everybody was kind of irritated with Darnold for having a bad game. Legitimately, he did. I think he was under 50% completion percentage today, or right at it. I don't know how he did on that last drive. Might have gotten him there, but anyways.
Oh, he was under 50%. He was 14 to 31.
Jeez,
that's ugly.
But Rodgers was not much better at all, and he had those 3 picks, and I'll tell you what, he was off. He was off all day. I mean, he missed some wide open throws early in the game. He missed wide open throws late. He was sailing the football. Now, whether it's because he can't physically do it anymore or whatever, that's one thing. But I remember in the pregame I said Rodgers reminds me of Muhammad Ali at the latter end of his career fighting Larry Holmes, and that's exactly what we got today.
Yep.
Yeah, you're really accurate on that. Really accurate on that, Ted. That did look like Ali against Holmes doing the rope.
Yeah, I mean, he had a couple of good throws, kind of like Ali had a couple of moments against Larry Holmes, but but at the end, no,
Remember,
he's
you
not the
remember when
guy
they,
he was even 3 or 4 years ago.
when they got the ball in that last drive with 2 minutes left? He starts dinking and dunking and moving his team downfield, and I was about to send you a message saying, how many goddamn times have we seen this? I mean, he picks the last drive to play good, and he botches everything else. But I think if that would have been Rodgers 10 years ago, the Vikings probably lose that game. But
Probably.
Eric LaPointe, New Mexico says, Skol to y'all, guys. Hell yeah, 5-0 Vikings, an ugly win is a win. So Skol to all the Purple family for staying true to our mighty Vikings. Where are you at in New Mexico, Eric? I used to live in Albuquerque.
yeah,
Many
when Vikingos. Oh wait,
many moons ago.
that's New Mexico.
New Mexico, yeah. That's Estados Unidos, amigo. I don't know
Yeah,
if you knew that or not. All right.
gracias.
So yeah, an ugly win is still a win. Yeah, and Vikings hit the bye at 5-0, man. That's still I'm pretty
It's
fired up
wild.
about it. Ethan Rogers, here's a good question. Does Rogers retire at the end of the year or get Salah fired and play one more year with? Well, that's a Jets question. I don't care. Well, I don't care. It's the Jets.
Some of those looks he had on the sideline, like he looked like disinterested as hell. He's got
there was one look they cut okay, Eric Dolce, New Mexico. All righty.
Rodgers.
Well, there was one look. I remember Salah had his arms crossed and he had this look on his face when they were down 17-0. I looked over at Grace and I said, "Man, that's the guy that looks like he's going to get fired at the end of the year." Done it. And Grace started laughing. He's like, "Yep, sure does."
Oh, he's getting fired.
Yeah.
But I have to go back to what that Ethan Rogers, Aaron's brother, said about retiring. He doesn't. I don't think he's. I'm telling you, those looks of disinterest were big to me. I don't think. Oh, thanks for the money, Don Borvio.
Yeah, thanks, Don Borvio.
Go, Don Borvio, part of the Gambino family. So, what do you guys think?
Yeah. So, look. He's done, man. He's cooked. I wanted to say that at halftime, but I usually when I say stuff like that and I put it out in the universe, it comes back to haunt me. But the dude's cooked, Chris. He is not the guy he was.
He absolutely is. I mean, I don't know if it's still the Achilles thing or if it's just age, but yeah, dude is not what he was. He's not torturing the Vikings twice a year anymore. If he wants to play 1 year with Nathaniel Hackett, we saw what Nathaniel Hackett did in Denver. Have at it. More power to you. But he's not an upper level NFL quarterback anymore.
No, he's not.
Yeah, if the Jets want to dump a bunch of money in his lap and delay things for another year, fine, go ahead, whatever.
Eric LaPointe, I just became a new subscriber, guys. Skol. All right, man. Thanks for subscribing, Eric. And if you want to become a subscriber, just hit the like button, hit the bell, all that kind of stuff. If you hit the bell, that lets you know when we got new content coming out. The show's coming out in 2 parts now every week. It just helps. Ruby with editing because Drew, Chris, and I can't shut up when we go to record. We try and stick to an hour, and we just can't do it. So, anyways, again, we've got 300 people on our show, in our room show right now. So
we're trying to get to 30,000, Ted. My personal.
Yeah, we are.
Is
that your personal goal? All right.
Yeah. We get to 30,000, then I'll do something really weird on the air.
No, you're not. Absolutely, you are not.
I am.
When to be eligible to win a prize, all you got to do is make a comment here in our live chat. Ruby's writing down the names, and at the end of the show, she's going to spin an electronic wheel of destiny. Whoever names comes up wins a prize. So, anyways, Vikings win 23-17. They hold off a last-minute Jets drive with a Stephon Gilmore interception, and the Vikings go to 5-0 heading into the bye. So, how about that Stephon Gilmore signing right at the end of training camp, Chris? Already worth the money, isn't it?
He certainly is. I mean, I keep talking about it. I bring it up every week. You've got 3 dudes on the depth chart at corner that have a ton of experience. It's a whole lot different than having to go out there with rookies and practice squad guys and try to cover NFL receivers. So, it was a hell of a move by the Vikings. I mean, people might have complained about the price, but no, he's worth it. And I'm happy that the Vikings made that move.
How you feeling about the secondary heading into the bye, Drew?
I think they have things to work on, but I think they're under duress because the offense isn't helping them. the Vikings defense for the second straight week had about 4 too many possessions because the offense can't get first downs. I mean, you can't expect your defense to keep going out there and keep going out there. I mean, a lot of how those Patriots won those games during the dynasty was just eating the clock in the second half with a 25-point lead. So you can't, I think all the new guys for the Vikings, Griffin had a big play on the wide receiver to knock the ball away on the sidelines. That made a punt. Gilmore is Gilmore. He's just naturally, he was born to be a corner. Can't say enough about Van Ginkel. I mean, come on.
Man.
Dude's awesome. Highest IQ on the defense, but seems like all the new guys we got in free agency, Ted, all seem to are contributing every week. I mean, it was great to see. The secondary needs to work on some things, but I like our secondary compared to what we've had here in the last 3-4 years.
Real quick, Brad Marin, a $10 donation. Thank you, Brad. Always a great show. Better than today's second half offense. I don't know about our show, but I can't disagree about the second half offense. Norsefius, a great commenter to the show. This game just shows how valuable Aaron Jones is for sure.
Oh, I got to bring that wine rack out that Norsefius sent us. Bitching.
And then Van Ginkel. I'll tell you what, Van Ginkel sniffs out those quick screens better than a bloodhound sniffs out a cadaver body. My golly, holy smokes! That's speaking of which. I wish I had this statistic up, but so in the NFC North, Amon-Ra St. Brown for Detroit, he has 2 receiving touchdowns. Andrew Van Ginkel has 2 receiving touchdowns.
What about when Van Ginkel caught that thing? He broke a tackle. He looked like Johnny Riggins, Ted, heading down the sideline.
He did.
Awesome about that play, man.
I would love. I kind of still wish Chris Berman and Tom Jackson did their NFL highlight or post game highlight show on ESPN because Berman. I would love to hear what the nickname was. Would Berman would give Van Ginkel because and do the highlight when Van Ginkel scored because I mean the dude. Anyways, in his prime.
Best nickname?
I think Andre Bad Moon Rising was the absolute best ever.
What about that Walt Weiss, 3 Blind Weiss?
Yeah.
And somebody just put up Van Ginkel is a great signing to the Vikings, a great deal, Skoll. I just think, and Nick Howard says they think they do, but it's on ESPN Plus. Ted, you're right, but it was with him and Tom Jackson. I don't think it's Tom Jackson does it anymore. But with Berman and Jackson in their prime, and Berman's kind of past his prime, anyways. I just kind of a shell of who he was back in the '90s. But be that as it may.
Great. Yeah, Tom Jackson.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But you know, and Van Ginkel and Cashman made some plays today as well. And you're just not seeing Daniil Hunter's name.
Reggie's right.
Yeah. Barbecue Smokehouse King, extend Cam Bynum. I agree. I think they're going to get a deal done. I just think the guys they're finally being able to get now that they got rid of the Hunter contract, the Cousins contract, those big vet contracts that were really limiting what the Vikings could do cap-wise are you're really starting to see dividends because those guys are making plays every week. Norsefius Rogers played like Ted drives a golf cart. I was not driving, just for the record. I was not driving, but okay, fair.
Fantastic.
He would get a prize, but he just won a couple of prizes. But that was a very funny comment. Very funny.
Let that be a lesson to you. Don't win here.
You talked about the free agent spending and whatnot. The 2 biggest cap hits, or 2 of the 3 biggest cap hits on the Vikings roster this year are Kirk Cousins' dead money and Daniil Hunter's dead money. The Vikings are essentially paying those guys $36 million this year to not play in Minnesota. So next year that gets cleared off the cap. So that'll if there's more guys that KOC and Kwesi want to go out and get, they'll be able to go out and do that.
Yeah. You know, and remember, we all thought that this was going to be like when they signed Sam Darnold, this was going to be kind of like a transition year. And next year was the year the Vikings were going to make a serious run. So they're 5-0 heading into the bye. And most people thought this was going to be the toughest part of their schedule. And they cleared it undefeated. And now they got to buy. They got a week to get Hawkinson up to game speed. They got a week to treat Aaron Jones's, I believe, was it a hip injury, Chris?
It was a hip injury.
Monitoring the pregame or the postgame stuff?
It was a hip thing.
And now a bye coming out of that. Hopefully they'll have Aaron Jones back. They'll have TJ Hawkinson back. They've got the Lions and then a short turnaround with the Rams. Man, I'll tell you what, this is turning up. This is looking to be if they can get out of the bye week and beat the Lions, they will absolutely be in command of the NFC North and the NFC in general.
Last year, after 5 weeks, I remember doing shows with you guys, and we were 1-4, and we were all in agreement. It seemed like the Vikings are beating themselves.
They
should have beat Tampa Bay. Should have beat the Chargers. They should, you know what I'm saying? The only game they won, I think, in that stretch was Carolina. They should have beat Kansas City week 5. They should have beat Kansas City in that game. But we were all in agreement they're beating themselves. They're still making mistakes, Ted, but they are not letting it avalanche over them. That's a big difference I see in the Vikings. Their overall mentality and culture. Last year, when we had problems, it would cost us a game. This year, we've had some ugly moments, but the Vikings are 5-0, and that's the bottom line to it all. And I think the depth, not falling apart when things don't go well, and the play calling, not so much in the second half of these games, but the play calling is I think that's the difference of what we look at 1-4 last year. I didn't feel like we were a 1-4 team when we were 1-4.
I did, Chris, to be honest, because they had the stupid turnovers in the red zone. I think they had a turnover on the first drive. I think almost every game.
It was close.
Yeah.
Kansas City they did. Carolina they did. Philadelphia they did. Yep.
Yeah. And I mean they were beating themselves. They were a good football team, and because I mean I remember after 3 or 4 games it was like, you know, Kirk led the league in touchdowns, and they were close to leading the league in sacks, and I mean they had all these statistics, but they were doing stupid things to beat themselves. So no, I didn't believe they were a good football team, because good football teams don't beat themselves.
They lost to Tampa Bay 20-17 by 3. They lost to the Eagles by 6. That's what I'm saying. And this year they've turned those ugly mistakes into not letting it. It shouldn't have cost them last year.
But it did.
They're mentally tough, man. Van Ginkel and Gilmore, those guys aren't going to stand for it, man.
No, and
Phillips today putting a smack ass on Aaron Rodgers.
That was great. It was great. And I would say, so Chris, to you, I was saying, I think last year they were a bad team, and they ended up, you know, injuries and all that stuff piled up. But the mental mistakes, they're not making those mental mistakes, or when they do make those mental mistakes, they don't let that kind of avalanche and turn into more mental mistakes that eventually cost them the game. Because I would argue last week's game against Green Bay and today's game would have turned into losses last year.
No, I absolutely agree, because, you know, like you said, in past years, they've been letting they make one mistake, and then that mistake turns into another mistake, and that mistake turns into something else. And like you said, it just snowballs. They can't pull themselves out of the funk after, you know, making an initial mistake. They just keep doing it over and over and over again. But yeah, this team's not doing that. I mean, yeah, they turn the ball over, but you know, the turnovers don't kill them this year the way they have in the past. So, yeah, I don't know if that's just the mentality that KOC has installed in this football team, or what the difference is. But yeah, last year they were beating themselves at every opportunity, and then they had that stretch in the middle of the season where they went 5-0, and then, you know, the offense just wasn't functioning after that. But yeah, they're not letting the mistakes kill them the way they did last season, and that's a big part of the turnaround.
I think part of it is the veteran free agents they brought in. I want to, Ruby, if you could put up this quote or this comment from Jay Johnson. It says from Ben, and I think he means Ben Gessling, Star Tribune beat reporter. If I'm wrong, Jay, just correct me on that. It said from Ben, Gilmore said he knew to be ready for a back shoulder throw on his interception. I assume that's the game-ending interception that won the game.
Yep.
He, Rodgers is the king of the back shoulder. I just played good technique and made a play on the ball. Last year, that would not have happened because the Vikings had a very inexperienced secondary outside of maybe Byron Murphy Jr. and Harrison Smith. You bring in a guy like Stephon Gilmore who studies tape and knows guys because he's been in the league for almost 10 years now, I believe, or close to it.
13, I think. I'd have to go back and look it up, but he's been in the league for a long time.
He's been in the league a very long time, and he knows tendencies. He understands game situations. He understands what quarterbacks are going to do in certain situations, and he understood what was probably going to happen based on quarterback tendencies, and that's why that interception was made, because Stephon Gilmore is a veteran, and he made that play, Drew.
It was a great cat and mouse game out there all day between Garrett Wilson and
Gilmore.
What I'm going to say is a couple plays before that, he got burned on the slant go, whatever. He got sucked into it. Rodgers missed the pass, or it would have been a touchdown.
Terrible throw by Rodgers.
I think Gilmore saw that and he thought, I'm not going to get caught on that again. I'm going to go with the back shoulder thing and bet on that. And he made a really, really great play on that ball. Yeah. But, I agree with you. Without Gilmore, you put a Caleb Evans out there, that's at least an interference call. Easy interference call on that play. So
if not a catch.
Yeah.
If not a catch. And Wilson
everything. Yeah, for the record, Stephon Gilmore was drafted the same year that Harrison Smith was.
Okay. All right.
He was number 10 overall that year. Harrison Smith was 29th overall. So yeah, they've both been in the league for 13 years now. They're old.
The Vikings got a good mixture of talent, putting the talented guys at the right spot, and the scheme that Flores is running. It's crazy. Yeah. I think that Goff better be ready, because we are full bore towards him. We just need to clean up the second half offense a little bit, Ted, because, like you said, Detroit, you got to outscore those guys. So there's a lot to work on. There's always a lot to work on if you got a good team, but we're 5-0. Nobody thought we'd be 5-0 at this point, not even us. So,
well, here's a question I want to ask, and then I want to go to the schedule. Then we'll probably close out the show because we're coming up on over 45 minutes now. Trooper 88 asks, did KOC overthink the offense today, Drew? Do you think so, or was it? Did he have to adjust because Aaron Jones went out?
That is a really, really great question. I love the people in our chat. The smartest it is.
Hands down, the smartest commentary on YouTube.
That is a tremendous question. I think he was getting sucked into last year's. I saw a lot of last year's play calling on that first down up the middle. It wasn't Madison, it was Chandler this time, but you waste that first down, and then it looked really similar to. I think he was overthinking it a little bit, Ted. And I think he was forcing it to Jefferson too much in the first half. Addison started getting some catches in the second half, but I think KOC needs to learn from it, because it's 2 games now in a row. You can't fall apart in the second half. Vikings came out victorious in both games, but you can't take your foot off the gas, man, and have 3 and outs and give. How many possessions did the Jets have today in the second half? 14? I mean, it's way too many, whatever it was. They had a lot of possessions.
Chris, well, I'll look that up while you answer the question.
I think he did. I'm not to Skull. I think Skull Trooper's right.
I'll look that up.
Yeah, what was the? I'm sorry, I got thrown off. What was
did KOC
overthink the offense today?
I mean, I don't know how much of it was overthinking. I mean, I don't think we could overstate how much losing Aaron Jones meant to this offense. I mean, he has been such a huge upgrade in the running game over what they had last year. I mean, obviously that's a huge thing. Ty Chandler is not on the Aaron Jones level. I mean, we saw that with the rushing yardage in the second half. I mean, there was a point toward the end of the game. It showed that the Vikings had 77 rushing yards in the first half, and at that point in the second half, they had 3.
Right.
Because, Aaron Jones was not out there carrying the ball. I mean, he probably, once Aaron Jones went out, he probably figured he had to lean on Justin Jefferson a whole lot more. But I mean, with the way that Sam Darnold was throwing the ball, there had to have been some shorter routes designed on some of those plays, and Sammy was just going for the long ball for reasons that I'm not completely sure of. But I don't know if they overthought it, but don't know if they adjusted as well as they could have to Aaron Jones not being in there.
Ted mentioned at the beginning of the show about going for the long ball. Ted, the first 4 games of the year, when the Vikings are in 3rd and 7 or less, were they chucking it deep like that all the time? I don't remember a game. It didn't seem like it. It seemed like they were throwing the ball to move the chains, get an 8-yard catch or something.
And it didn't seem like the Vikings were in 3rd and long as much the first 4 games as they were the whole game today. I mean, I'd have to look it up, but it felt like the Vikings were in 3rd and long more today than they have been the first 4 games combined. I don't know that as a fact, but it just anecdotally it felt like that. To your question, Drew, the Vikings or the Jets had only 6 possessions in the second half, but it was actually 7 because that one possession where they were called for roughing, they only counted as 1 possession, but it was a 17-play drive that ended up as a field goal. It went 83 yards. But here's the Vikings. The second half possessions for the Vikings, they went 3 plays punt, 5 plays punt, 4 plays punt, 4 plays field goal, 3 plays interceptions, 9 plays field goal, and then they had the victory formation at the end. So you're right. The Vikings offense did the Vikings defense no favors, but the Jets weren't much better, man. They went 3 plays punt, that 17-play field goal drive, 3 plays minus 3 yards punt. Jets 3 plays minus 5 yards punt. They went 8 plays for that touchdown. That was the Garrett Wilson touchdown, I believe, and then the 10 plays interception to end the game. So
that's the Jets, Ted. You expect that from them? I mean,
true. Yeah, true. But yeah, so I mean, the Vikings defense, man, has been pretty solid. So everybody, somebody mentioned this. Mentioned earlier, the talking heads were trying to find a Vikings loss coming out of the bye, and they said maybe Detroit. But let's go over this real quick. So the Vikings have a bye. They've got Detroit at home. Then they're at the Rams. Let's just do their next 5 games. They got the Lions coming out of the bye at home. They're at the Rams on Thursday. The Colts at home, at the Jaguars, at the Titans, then at the Bears. So we'll do the next 6. So 4 of the next 6 games are road games.
The only game that should be remotely difficult in that list is the Detroit game coming out of the bye. None of those other teams are any good.
And that's a home game.
Yeah.
Drew?
I mean, the Rams have half their damn team injured at this point. I mean, the Titans aren't good. The Jaguars aren't good. The Bears aren't good. And I can't remember who the other team you mentioned was, but
Lions, Rams, Colts, Jags, Titans.
Yeah. None of those AFC South teams are any good. They're all terrible. So if they don't lose the Detroit game, I don't see another loss, to be honest.
Ted Glover, that's 10-1. That's 10-1. Everything Chris just said. Plus, we got a live watch party for that Rams game that Thursday night. We're going to be live the whole game. We don't lose watch parties unless we're playing Dallas. I mean, there's going to be a game in there that we blow that we shouldn't have lost, and we're going to lose probably. So I'm looking 9-2 or 10-1. I mean, you're right. We reach a point of the schedule where we really can take. If it smells like cologne, you better not leave it alone. We could run the ball. We can get ourselves into that bye position at this point, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't. The Vikings aren't going 17-0. I mean, every year when the schedule comes out, I tweet out, I don't see a loss on the schedule, but they're sitting really good right now. I mean, maybe the Rams game because it's a quick turnaround and it's on the road, but you're right, Chris. The Rams half the rosters on injured reserves. It seems like, especially they're really good players. The Lions game is going to be tough. The Lions they're a good football team. Colts are terrible. Jags are terrible. Titans are terrible. The Bears, it's at Soldier Field. That's always a house of horrors. Always.
Yeah.
House of horrors?
I don't know.
Oh, horror. Hey, Ted, can you read? Yeah. Can you read those teams' quarterbacks real quick? If you don't,
Jared Goff, Matthew Stafford, either Anthony Richardson or but he's hurt. So Joe Flacco, Burt Jones, possibly Art Schlichter if he gets paroled in time.
Okay.
But if it depends on Anthony Richardson's injury. If he's healthy, I think he'll play. But if not, it'll be Joe Flacco. I believe he's starting today again. I saw where he was inactive again, right?
Yeah, Richardson was inactive today.
Okay. Again. Oh wait, Norsefius. Keep the $5. Keep the regular season game right here. No more outside continental United States for prizes. Great show. Always troops. Thanks, Norsefius. Appreciate the donation. Jaguars is Sunshine
Spicoli.
Golden Hair.
Spicoli?
Trevor Lawrence. At Tennessee is Will the human turnover machine Levis, and Chicago is Caleb Williams, who is also kind of a turnover machine, but he seems to have turned it around the last couple of games. He may be figuring it out.
Thank you for the improv on the spot, knowing your quarterback.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you this: Brian Flores is going to be like me eating a steak. Staying up for 3 days and then eating a steak dinner. That's what he's going to. He is going to destroy some of those names you just mentioned. So, barring an implosion, we should be 9-2, easy. I don't want to say easy, but I feel better. Oh, what about the weather today? I was right.
You did. You nailed
showers,
it.
50% showers. I called it. See, Ted, people care about the weather.
All right, Ruby just informed me that she doesn't have any audio, but she is ready for the wheel. So, Tootses, put the wheel up and we'll get out of here and let people enjoy the afternoon football games.
I'm out. Go ahead, Chris. Read all those names.
They're spinning. I can't. Not that I could have anyway. Yeah.
Who is it?
Mike Rhodes.
The American Dream, Michael Rose, baby.
Chris, there you go.
He's about to get funky like a monkey in the prize vault, baby.
Let me play you something, Tony Schiavone.
That's great. What a great way to end the show.
All right. Mike Rhodes, that's a brand new winner. We've never had the American Dream Mike Rhodes win before. So Mike, get a hold of Ruby at Vikings Report with Drew and Ted at gmail.com.
Chris, can you do an analyst of the NFL just talking about Will Reichard real quick, Dusty Rhodes? Come on, give me something.
Will Reichard, baby, he looks like he's 14 years old. He's out there kicking field goals 60 yards away for the love of God. What's he doing out there, baby? He's automatic.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you.
Vikings kicking has known hard times, brother.
Hard times,
oh, we're dumb. I love it.
Yeah, Gary Anderson going to kick a 38-yard field goal. He misses it wide to the left, baby. What the hell?
Folks, tell him, Ted, you ain't going to get that on any other show.
Oh.
You're not going to get Dusty Rhodes.
Tell me for that.
Tell me anywhere else you will get an American Dream Dusty Rhodes analysis of Minnesota Vikings kicker, because you won't. That's a rhetorical question. Not going to happen.
Dusty Rhodes bobblehead and put it in the prize vault.
Oh, we should. All right.
Thanks, Reggie.
All right, that'll about wrap it up. Vikings ahead to the bye, 5-0 with a 23-17 win over the Jets. For Drew, for Chris, for Ruby, I'm Ted. Thanks for joining us. We will have a regular studio show next week as the Vikings head into the bye. And then we will be live after the bye for the Vikings game against the Lions, and then we'll do the live watch show for the Rams game.
We're not doing a
show next
week. We're just doing a show for the no one cares about your fantasy team.
Okay.
Ruby has the week off. We're going to have a real cut down studio show.
Okay. Abbreviated studio show, regular studio show for the Lions game, and then a live watch party for the Rams game. So for Chris, for Drew, for Ruby, I'm Ted. Skol Vikings, 5-0. Enjoy the bye week.